The story starts with our MC, Masamune, posing in front of the mirror after taking a morning shower. However, his sister Chinatsu finds that gross. MC complains that she entered his room without permission again, but she dismisses it since they are siblings. Their mother, Kinue, then comes calling them for breakfast. She had prepared plenty of high-calorie foods with turned-off MC, and he decided to head to school without eating. At school, he sees some girls playing tennis. A few girls immediately came out complaining, but luckily for Masamune, they complained about another guy who took pictures with his phone. Masamune then attempts to leave, but one of the girls recognizes him and reminds the others that he transferred to their school about a week ago. The other girls surround him, noting that they heard he got a perfect score on the entrance exam and invited him to practice with them, but Masamune declines, complimenting them that he was admiring how hard they were practicing. As they find Masamune attractive, the girls blush and get excited at his coolness. The students have gathered before the school since Shijio intends to confess to the cruel princess. The cruel princess then comes out on the roof of the school, and using a microphone, she reveals that she made her servant do a background check on Shigeo after he approached her. He recently brought the new volume of OGs, Anryubi Jintoku, and a gender-swapped romance of the Three Kingdoms. He also had written a lot of internet fanfics about a powerful character named Shigeo. Due to the single hair coming out from a mole on his chest, she names him Molio. Shigeo then turns off all the girls. During a break between classes, Masamune had fallen asleep but woke up after recalling his past trauma. Tai, the class rep, is glad he is adjusting to his new school. Kojiro then comes in and brings some food. Masamune doesn't want to decline it, but seeing how many calories it is in the bread, he notes he needs to do extra crunches when he gets home. Kojiro compliments Masamune on how amazing he is. He has good grades, is good at sports, and is handsome. There is only one other Kojiro thinks to be just as amazing. However, before he can say who, the cruel princess comes in looking for Akio Tanabe. She approaches Masamune and asks him if Akio is here. But Akio then reveals he is in the back. The girl then reads a letter saying he fell for how dignified she looked in PE class, meaning he liked her legs in yoga pants. So from now on, she will call him Pudding Prince and rip his confession letter. After the girls leave, Tai and Kojiro explain that she is too amazing, but her personality is opposite of Masamune's. She hates guys and gives cruel names to anyone who asks her out, which earned her the nickname Cruel Princess. Her real name is Adagaki Aki. Hearing her name, Masamune stands up and looks at her in the corridor, surprised he has already found her. Masamune keeps his eye on Aki and is surprised to see how many girls follow her. Kojiro explains that they admire her for how blunt she is. She is always with Yoshino Koiwei. Masamune then asks for more information, like what she likes or dislikes. However, Kojiro doesn't know much and has only heard that she likes to eat lunch alone. At lunch, Masamune tries to follow her to see where she eats alone but loses her. He sees Yoshino and decides to follow her. Yoshino enters a gym storage room where Aki is waiting. Yoshino apologizes for only 2 cutlet sandwiches, and Aki complains that she could have taken something else. Masamune is happy that he found Aki, but a spider comes down a web, which scares Masamune, who enters the storage room. He quickly apologizes, stating that he saw Yoshino coming and wondered what was happening. Masamune notices that Aki is holding a big lunchbox full of high-calorie dishes and states that some girls in athletic clubs also eat a lot, but then notices a few more empty lunchboxes next to her. Aki's stomach then growls, and she states that she is prone to hypoglycemia and must ensure she gets enough sugar. Normal lunch isn't enough for her, and she tends to eat more. Masamune then decides to leave, but Aki tells him he will regret it if he tells anyone. Masamune attempts to hang out more with Aki, but she keeps being mean to him. During sports class, Kojiro tells him that he heard he is getting along with Aki, and that everyone starts to wonder if Aki will finally fall for someone. After school, Yoshino feels hungry and that she could faint, and tells Yoshino to buy her something to eat quickly. Akio shows up and grabs her hair after Yoshino leaves. He is angry that she rejected him, but she is fine with Masamune. Akio then takes out scissors and prepares to cut Aki's hair. Masamune shows up at the last moment and stops him, stating that he expected something like this to happen because Aki is quite scary. As Masamune's hand bleeds, Akio gets scared and runs away. Masamune is in great pain but tries to hide it and act cool. Masamune feels she will no longer be mean to him as he knows her secret and saves her. In the past, Masamune was a fat, rich kid who was often bullied. Aki saves him from the bullies, but later tells him she will never fall for someone like him and calls him Pig's Foot. Masamune has decided to get revenge for that, and he plans to make Aki fall for him. After that, he will reveal his identity and dump her. The next day, Masamune continues normally and greets Akio, who apologizes for yesterday, but Masamune tells him it's all good. Masamune opens his locker and a love letter falls. As he opens it, he reads Pig's Foot, making him nervous, and he wonders if he has been found out already. Masamune starts to wonder who may have written that letter. He considers Aki, but then doubts it as she would have made it into a big public event to humiliate him. Masamune feels that if people learn how he looked in the past, they will turn against him, and he will reach the bottom of society. Additionally, if Aki finds out who he is, his revenge plan will be ruined. During the lunch break, Masamune sees the famous race to the school shop as students run towards the shop to buy food. He sees Yoshino, who struggles to line up and buy food for Aki. As she gets pushed away, Masamune checks on her, and she asks him to buy the food in her place. Masamune accepts and manages to fight the crowd and buy the food. Yoshino is surprised that he managed to get all of it since he usually gets around last, and some of the stuff has been sold. Masamune guesses that this is food for Aki and asks if he can also come. Yoshino tries to sneak away, but Masamune stops her and promises to explain everything to Aki so that Yoshino doesn't get in trouble. On their way to Aki, Masamune feels that Yoshino is like Cinderella, whom her wicked stepmother bullies. Yoshino brings the food to Aki, who starts complaining that she is slow. Aki starts eating but starts choking. Yoshino rushes out, and Masamune enters, wondering if Aki is alright. Aki realizes that Yoshino left, and Masamune explains that she went to buy her tea. Masamune explained he wanted to check how she was doing. Aki wonders how his hand is, but while still in pain, Masamune claims it's fine. Their conversation is normal, so Masamune is sure she wasn't who wrote that letter. Yoshino then returns but trips, and as she falls, her skirt lifts, revealing her undergarments. Aki then tries to close Masamune's eyes but ends up hitting him. Yoshino then gives drinks to both Aki and Masamune. Aki explains that Yoshino is quite respectful, although that's annoying since Aki wants her to have a backbone. Masamune tells Aki that he wants Aki to rely on him more than she relies on Yoshino and then leaves. Outside, he is sure that Aki is red right now, as she can't just ignore someone who saved her and said something like that. Masamune has been reading his sister's shoujo manga to prepare himself to make Aki fall for him. Meanwhile, Aki indeed blushes, and Yoshino notices it. Going home, Masamune plans his next step and guesses he should ask Aki for her email address. He gets caught in a trap, and Yoshino appears, calling him Pig's Foot. Masamune is surprised she knows his nickname but doesn't recall a girl bully. He then remembers that there was another girl in Aki's mansion. Masamune feels his plan failed but tells her he doesn't regret trying to give Aki a taste of her own medicine. Yoshino is fine with that and states she will help him. The next day, Masamune decides to continue with his plan. He sees Tai and helps her with what she is carrying. He decides to test himself on her and asks for her email address. However, as he is about to ask her, he realizes he hasn't asked anyone else before and has 0 contacts. He gets nervous and runs towards the classroom. There he asks Kojiro if it is true that sharing an email address also reveals the other person's contacts, but Kojiro states that isn't true. Masamune then relaxes, realizing they won't learn he has no friends. The school beautification committee has lost a member, and a student is asking Tai to replace it. However, Tai is busy with a lot of other stuff and doesn't have time for that. Masamune overhears this, and knowing that Aki is in it, he proposes to Tai to fill the position in her place. Masamune joins the committee and starts helping with the cleaning, but Aki ignores him. Tai apologizes for pushing something troublesome onto Masamune, but he tells her it's fine. Tai notes that she isn't like him, someone who helps others without saying a word. She then invites Masamune to spend some time with the two of them to go and see a movie. Masamune realizes that it is a date and gets excited. However, he remembers his objective and declines. Tai then apologizes for asking so suddenly and leaves. Masamune starts to wonder if this means he is popular and gets happy, but he turns and is surprised to see Aki. She explains that she is there to get a new bucket. Aki guesses that Tai isn't on the committee and tells Masamune that it must be nice to be so popular. Masamune wonders if Aki is jealous but states it doesn't matter if a girl asks him out and he doesn't feel for her. Aki then asks him who he wants to ask him out, and he says Aki's name and that he would be fine to go out with her. Aki remains silent for a moment and thanks him. Seeing things going well, Masamune then asks her for her email address. Aki agrees but then states that her phone is being repaired and she will give it to him the next time they are on duty. The next time they are on duty, Masamune waits for Aki to come, but she is still not there. He sees a letter that tells him to check the teacher's desk. Inside, he finds origami and new instructions. He keeps following them, going around school, and ends up back in the same room, telling him to look outside the window. As he does, he sees Aki holding a sign "Decline," which angers Masamune. Yoshino shows up, noting that it was quite pitiful, and explains that she is there to do Aki's duties. Yoshino tells him he is too naive, and that he can get Aki's address and date her if he leaves things to her. She then takes Masamune's phone and adds her contact. Tai informs the class that even if one person fails the proficiency test, they all must take supplementary classes. Tai believes it would be easy for Masamune, but Kojiro isn't worried, so that it would be easy for him. Carefree Kojiro states that he only has single digits in all subjects but will aim for double digits this time. Masamune had no idea that Kojiro was that stupid. Tai fears that Kojiro will fail and lose even more weight in the supplementary classes, although that thought excites her as he is quite cute, and she doesn't mind traps. Kojiro doesn't wish to take supplementary classes, and Masamune states they should start studying together. Masamune prepares some books for him and Kojiro to start studying, wanting to see what he knows and doesn't know. He hears Aki and Yoshino behind him, who are in the same situation, and Aki is helping Yoshino study. Aki is surprised that Masamune can even teach someone, and he seems quite confident for someone who fell for her simple trick. Masamune then proposes a bet on who will score higher, he and Kojiro or Aki and Yoshino, and if Masamune wins, Aki will have to go on a date with him. If Aki wins, she can give him whatever nickname she wants, and he will stick it on his back and walk around school with it until they graduate. Aki doesn't find that enough and states that if she wins, he will buy her lunch as long as she wants. Masamune agrees, hoping that Yoshino told him the truth, which will mean it is 3 versus 1. At Aki's home, Yoshino wonders if Aki should be studying too, but Aki doesn't believe she will lose. Yoshino then reveals that she heard Masamune got a perfect score on the transfer exam, which surprises Aki, who states she only agreed because she thought he was some gross narcissist. Yoshino states she will support Aki, but if it comes down to the date, she gives her a dating guidebook. Aki blushes to see the book but states that Yoshino should keep studying. Masamune wants to call Yoshino and discuss the bet but feels nervous as he never called the girl. At that moment, Yoshino calls him, causing him to panic for a bit, but he ends up answering. Masamune wonders if she will help him with the bet, but Yoshino denies it, saying she can't help him. On the practice test, Kojiro scores 9 points and apologizes to Masamune, stating that if it comes to it, he will also make Aki give him a nickname and wear it alongside Masamune. Aki then shows up and starts asking Masamune questions, but he answers them all correctly. Masamune keeps on studying with Kojiro. A day before the test, he starts to study, which surprises his sister as he usually is training. His mother also gets excited and decides to prepare him themed lunch for tomorrow. Chisatsu gets excited and asks her to make one for her too. The next day, before the exam, Masamune goes to Gai Kojiro for a drink. He sees Yoshino buying one, and she apologizes, but Masamune tells her it's fine and that he studied a lot with Kojiro, and they are confident. Yoshino then gives him the drink she brought, wishes him good luck, and runs away, saying it doesn't matter anymore. The math test begins later, and Masamune feels the questions are easy. However, as he drank the coffee Yoshino gave him, his stomach started to hurt, and he started questioning if she put a laxative in it. He gets angry and states he won't forgive them. After the exam, Masamune goes to Aki's classroom, but is told she isn't here today because she has a fever and skipped school. Yoshino confirms, and Masamune realizes they had won before it started and wonders why Yoshino still gave him laxatives. Masamune receives a message from Chisatsu, wondering if he had already eaten their mother's lunch, as the eggs were bad and the omelette was sour, making him realize why his stomach hurt. Masamune ends up having to take supplementary classes. Aki also needs to take them, which makes Masamune feel that this is still some sort of a date. Masamune thinks they ended up in a draw, but Yoshino informs him that the date will be Sunday, and they will meet at the station. Going there, Masamune sees Aki waiting on the spot wearing a magical girl cosplay. Some guy approaches her, wanting to take a picture and noting how well her costume is. Masamune also shows up, and feeling creeped out by the guy, she runs and hides behind him. As the guy leaves, Aki nicknames him Acidic Cleanser and Rag, Acid Rag for short. Aki then wants them to hurry up and proceed with the date, but Masamune wants first to know why she is dressed like that. Aki then mocks him for not knowing the dress code and states that wearing a costume is necessary to break the ice on the first date. At a shopping center, Masamune calls Yoshino, who tells him that she listens to all of Aki's orders, so when she tells her something, Aki doesn't have a reason not to believe her, so he needs to leave things to her. Masamune returns and apologizes about the dress code but states that Aki sees this as a date. Aki, however, states it's because his mental fortitude is soft. He failed the test, couldn't eat, and cried, ending up in the nurse's office staying all day, and then he got caught with razors up his sleeve, ready to cut himself. Yoshino had told her what happened and that only she could save him since they took the supplementary classes together, so she had to accept and spend a day with him. They went to see a movie where Aki had brought all the tickets. They end up seeing a horror which scares Aki, who didn't know it as Yoshino had planned everything for her. They proceed to go and eat, and after Aki finishes a plate, she pushes it toward Masamune to look like he ate it. Masamune wonders if she always has eaten that much, and Aki reveals it only started after something awful happened in her past. A small girl then asks Aki why she is dressed so weirdly. Aki then explains it's a dating ritual, but Masamune grabs her hand, and they leave before she can fully explain to the little girl. Outside, Masamune tells her this isn't normal, and realizing it, Aki decides to buy new clothes. While changing clothes, Aki cries. Masamune hears that and checks on her but sees her in her underwear, and she punches him. Masamune gets knocked out and dreams of how he met Aki, who is hard on him, just like the bullies. He wakes up on a bench, lying on Aki's lap. Looking at Aki, he notes that the cruel princess he knows is much stronger, more arrogant, and just as kind. Aki then sees that he is awakened and tells him she is going home. As she leaves, Masamune apologizes for scaring her before that. While going home, Masamune speaks with Yoshino and tells her what happened, annoyed at Aki's smug face as she should have said it was her fault as she cried. Yoshino explains that she is doing all of this for Aki. She believes that Aki needs to re-examine herself, and if he dumps her and makes her a bit more modest, it will benefit Yoshino and Aki greatly. Masamune understands but didn't expect that she would plan a lap pillow. Yoshino doesn't know what he means, but Masamune doesn't believe her. He looks forward to more of her plans and calls her master. Yoshino's sister sees Yoshino talking with someone and is surprised it's not Aki. She wonders if something fun happened, and Yoshino confirms she is having fun. After having studied shoujo manga all night long, Masamune is confident that he will be able to make Aki fall for him. During supplementary class, he tried some of the lines he picked up. Despite all of his work though, Aki was not impressed. After supplementary classes ended, Aki found herself stuck in the rain. Just as she was about to call Yoshino to bring her an umbrella, Masamune lent her his and then ran off. Later that night, Masamune met with Yoshino at a playground, where she informed him that Aki found his efforts to be seriously creepy, much to his disappointment. Yoshino told him it was important to mix things up and told him to be as cold to Aki the next day as possible. He did just as Yoshino had advised for the next several days and ignored Aki. He didn't speak to her, and during supplementary class, sat as far away from her as possible. After a while, Aki confronted him in the hallway and asked why he ignored her. He responded that he had been doing it to get that reaction because he liked her. This prompted Aki to question why he liked her and what was good about her. Having never thought about it before, Masamune panicked and told her everything right before running off to get help from Yoshino. Aki followed him, trying to return his umbrella, then stumbled upon him meeting with Yoshino. Neither Masamune nor Yoshino had noticed her presence at the time. As Masamune delivered a letter to Aki's locker the following day, she arrived and questioned what he was doing. Masamune tried to give her his letter, but instead she crumpled it and tossed it in the trash, saying she despised him. She proceeded to yell at him until Yoshino appeared. Then she suddenly ran away. Yoshino found Aki at a park alone with her thoughts, angrily stomping on the umbrella Masamune lent her. Yoshino tries to get Aki to admit her feelings but keeps denying it. When she finally turned around to face Yoshino again, she had disappeared. She realized that Yoshino was gone and took off to search for her. While looking for Yoshino, she starts to reflect, but her thoughts are interrupted when she hears Masamune shout and realizes she is in the middle of the road, about to be hit by a car. But Masamune was able to pull her out of the way just in time. They have a serious moment at the side of the road, quickly interrupted when the girl in the car runs over to apologize. Then suddenly, she, thank God, runs over to Masamune and embraces him, saying she longed to see him. However, he does not remember the mysterious girl and is left to stand there awkwardly in confusion. The girl thanks God for the chance to meet Masamune again, but he doesn't recognize her. Her bodyguard, Shido, tells her they are running late, so she leaves. After seeing this, Aki leaves upset, so the next day at school, Masamune buys food at the cafeteria and tries to bring it to Aki as an apology. Still, Yoshino attacks him with a gas pistol and prevents him from meeting with Aki, while telling her that Aki had ordered this for her. So Masamune tells him that he doesn't know that girl from yesterday, and Yoshino walks away. But he doesn't meet Aki and just leaves the food at the gym storage door. Later, a new student transfers into his class and introduces herself as Neko Fujinamiya, who girl Masamune met. He tries to talk to her but can't because of the girls surrounding her. Finally, he meets her, and her class representative tells him Neko transferred to her school just for him. Neko tells everyone that he helped her 3 years ago at Christmas. At that moment, Masamune realizes he was a chubby kid 3 years ago, and maybe the boy Neko is talking about. Masamune grabs her hand and leads her out of the class. She asks why she lied about him, and he tells her she already loves someone. Neko replies that she can't tell anyone the truth because he is embarrassed. She asks about the girl she loves, and Masamune takes her to Aki's class. Suddenly, a boy from that class opens the window, and Masamune and Aki see that Neko is not wearing anything underneath. Then, Aki leaves the class, and Masamune chases after her. When he tries to stop her, she accidentally hits a teacher, who punishes them for loitering outside of class by making them clean the pool. Masamune throws water on Aki to provoke her, and she tries to spill a bucket of water on him but falls into the pool. It is then that Masamune believes that she is drowning, so he jumps into the pool to save her, only to discover that there is not enough water for a person to drown. Aki asks why she jumped into the water to save her when he's the one who doesn't want to get wet. Masamune tells her that her body moves only because he loves her, so Aki asks him to prove it by kissing her. After school, Yoshino waits for Aki. Neko shows up and wonders if Yoshino knows where Masamune is, but Yoshino explains she doesn't know. At the pool, Aki tells Masamune to kiss her to prove he likes her. Masamune starts to panic as kissing is the last step of his plan. He originally imagined that when she fell for him and asked for a kiss, he wouldn't do it and dump her. However, the situation changed as she asked for a kiss before falling for him. Seeing that Masamune isn't doing anything, Aki decides to leave, but Masamune stops her and decides to go for a kiss. However, just before he kisses her, she feels embarrassed and punches him. Moments later, Tai and a few other students show up, and she wonders what they are doing in the pool. Masamune explains that the teacher punished them for cleaning it, and they decided to jump in for a bit. Masamune then asks her why she is here, and Tai explains that she has swimming practice. Aki leaves, stating that she will accept that he likes her, but states she doesn't care. After the pool, Masamune is angry and sits on a bench. Neko finds him and offers him some tea while explaining the importance of supplements. Masamune believes exercise and death are more important but doesn't mind supplements. He then asks Neko what she likes about him, asking the same question Aki asked him and preparing to shoot down answers like your face or everything. As she also barely knows him, he doesn't expect her to be able to say something much about him and prepares to turn her down. Neko states that she likes how he is so modest that he doesn't even realize his charms. She also tells him to be more confident as he is lovely and then leaves. Masamune is surprised by the answer but realizes that he needs to approach Aki's situation differently. Yoshino decides to follow Neko. However, after following her for a while, she loses her. Neko's attendant, Shido, catches Yoshino, but Neko shows up and explains that she knows her. Neko is aware that Yoshino is Aki's attendant. Yoshino then drops the act and wonders why Neko cares for Masamune, and Neko explains that he saved her in the past. Yoshino knows she is lying since Masamune has told her everything. Kinua then shows up and wonders what they want. Masamune returns home and sees his mother teaching Neko and Yoshino how to make fried shrimp. Shocked, he drags Yoshino to his room and asks her what is happening. Yoshino explains that Kinua had approached them earlier, recognized that their school uniforms were from Masamune's school, and wondered if they were looking for him. Excited that they were his fans, she dragged them to her house. Looking at his room and seeing all the weights and gym equipment, Yoshino notes that she doesn't even need to ask him if he lifts. Neko then enters the room and finds it lovely as it looks ideal for rehabilitation. Masamune quickly drags her outside, and Neko reveals that the shrimp is ready. They all go to eat. Chinatsu is surprised that Masamune has friends willing to come to his place. Neko wonders what she means, and Chinatsu explains that he is hiding his old identity. But Masamune stops her before revealing his old appearance. They start eating, but Masamune removes some parts that are too many calories for him. Neko brings out lots of pills and eats them as nourishment. Kinua is annoyed that they are not enjoying the food, but Masamune states it has too many calories, while Neko states that nutrients are important. Chinatsu then laughs, stating they sound like the same person. Chinatsu then proposes that they set off some fireworks after dinner. Masamune is against it, but Neko and Yoshino agree. The girls change into yukatas and go outside to set off some fireworks. While Chinatsu sets some off, Yoshino reveals she isn't very fond of fireworks and that Aki tried an experiment to see how many rocket fireworks would take to send someone flying to the moon, using Yoshino as a guinea pig. Kinua then brings some watermelons, and Chinatsu proposes a competition to see who can spit the seeds the farthest. Seeing Kinua and Chinatsu spitting makes Neko laugh. Looking at her, Masamune notes that if she died, maybe their relationship would have turned different. Masamune also wonders if he didn't have this vendetta against Aki, if he would have felt different now. Later, Shido comes to pick up Neko. Neko asks Masamune to escort her to her house, but Masamune declines, stating that Shido is there for her. After Neko leaves, Masamune asks Yoshino if she wants him to escort her, but she reminds him that she lives at Aki's house. Since Aki could see them and cause more problems, Masamune decided to escort her to the main road, where she could get a taxi. On their way, Yoshino warns Masamune not to fall for Neko. Masamune uses Neko's line during lunch at school, telling Aki that she is so modest that she doesn't even realize her charms. Aki is indifferent and tells him that she knows her worth. And in Masamune's case, he is not too modest to realize it. He is just too much of a moron. The summer break comes. Masamune intends to use it as a chance to get closer to Aki. However, she informs him that she plans to spend it at her island villa. Aki then invites Kojiro. However, Kojiro feels embarrassed and states he will come with Masamune. Hearing that, Neko said she would be going where Masamune is going. Tai also states she would love to spend her vacation on a beach, and Masamune calls her to the group. He tells Aki she must take them all or spend the vacation alone. Not wanting to be alone, Aki accepts. On the way to Tsunade Island, Yoshino tells Masamune that she couldn't find anything about Neko to exploit and no connection between them for her to be that attached to him. Masamune believes he is fine, as his only goal is revenge on Aki. Yoshino tells him to get serious. If he doesn't do anything about Aki during this trip, she will tell her everything. Midori Yusaki gets dumped by a guy, and she gets angry, wondering why. A maid that informs her that the guests have arrived, and her personality completely changes, becoming calm and stating that she will welcome them. Midori goes to welcome Aki and her friends, but is surprised to see a boy among them. While Aki wonders what to say, Masamune takes the chance and states he is her boyfriend. Midori is happy to hear that, noting that while it's normal for young girls to hate boys, watching a high school girl acting like she hates boys is embarrassing, so she is glad she is no longer in that phase. Midori compliments Aki on finding such a beautiful boyfriend, but Aki states he is nothing special and then drags Masamune to go and swim. Masamune knew he was too a gamble, but it paid off. Since Aki cares about her appearance and image in front of other girls, she acts like they are a couple. Aki tells Masamune that this act will only continue while they are there. Later, they go to the beach. Neko clings to Masamune and asks him to put sunblock cream on her, but Masamune panics since if Midori sees him, his dating plan will be over. Aki then splits them, telling Midori that she and Masamune are dating now and she should not interfere. Aki explains that if Midori sees them, she will think that Masamune is an indecisive playboy. Neko is getting played, which won't look good on the Fujinomiya family. Neko understands and tells her she will back off for now. Aki then drags Masamune, stating they are going somewhere quiet. Aki brings Masamune to another part of the beach, where they are alone. She drops the act then and tells him to bring her some food. Masamune is annoyed but heads to get her some food from Midori. He also asks Midori what fun they can have on the island, and Midori explains that there is a club, live music venue, and lounge, but Masamune wants something high schoolers can enjoy. Midori then states to try a test of courage. Masamune recalls that Aki doesn't handle scary things well and that he can save her, so he gets interested in it. He asks about the location, and after Midori tells him, he leaves with the food. After he leaves, Midori states that he is free to love whoever he wants, but he is 100 years too young to earn Aki's love, and Midori plans to send him to hell. After starting to work as a secretary for the Adagaki family, Midori saw Aki crying and wondered where the boy she was playing with was. Aki then states he is gone and won't return and then runs away. Midori started to admire her as she chose pride and turned down all the boys. However, Masamune showed up and is ruining the boy-hating Aki. Masamune takes everyone to the location Midori gave him, an abandoned house. They draw on who will enter first, and their order is Yoshino, Kojiro, Tai, Aki, Masamune, and Neko. Masamune has rigged the starting order so that when Aki goes in and freezes from fear, he will come to rescue her. Inside the house, Midori is waiting, planning to scare Masamune, and seeing him the only one failing and being scared, Aki will leave him. Midori waits with a mask on, but instead of Masamune or Aki, Yoshino comes with a mask and a chainsaw and starts chasing the scared Midori. She runs to Aki, who finally manages to turn on her flashlight, which shines on her face and scares both Midori and Aki. Hearing the screams, Masamune comes and wonders who is the masked person. Midori sees Yoshino behind Masamune and screams and runs scared, causing Masamune to recognize her. Midori manages to run out of the house, but first scares Kojiro and Tai as she passes them. Outside, she stops to Neko, who spills some blood, stating it seems it will rain. A lighting flashes and Midori gets scared and runs away, but knocks herself out on a post. Midori later wakes up being carried by Masamune. He tells her that he asked Yoshino to help and scare people but doesn't expect that Midori would also help. Masamune reveals that he and Aki aren't dating, and he went with this test of courage because he wanted to show off to her, but ended up involving Midori, so he apologized to her. Midori realizes he is a good kid and that she ruined his chances with her prejudice. Masamune asks Midori not to tell anything to Aki, and Midori acts like she didn't hear anything either way. On the boat, on their way back, Masamune feels he didn't make any progress. Yoshino tells him that Aki cares about appearances, but won't do things she doesn't want to do. Stating he is her boyfriend in front of Midori probably helped them so she wouldn't tell Aki. Masamune trains in his room as Aki calls him on his phone. He initially thinks it could be a trap, but as he replies, Aki sounds furious that he took so long. He meets up with Yoshino and informs her that Aki called him and that one of his bags was found on Tsunade Island where he forgot it, and she will give it to him personally tomorrow. Back at home, Masamune wants to do his homework, however he realizes that Neko took his childhood photo away. In a cafe, he meets Aki, who explains that the family secretary forced her to return his bag in person. Masamune thinks about Neko and her reasons for taking the picture, guessing that she will figure out it's him and Aki in that picture. As he doesn't listen to Aki, she gets angry, heads off, and leaves him alone. Neko calls him and tells him how Tai invited her to the public swimming pool and if he also intended to come. He wants to know what she is doing and asks if they could meet. Neko agrees and invites him to her place. At her place, Masamune is nervous that he is at a girl's place and states he was nearby and decided to see her. He excuses himself off to the toilet, but in reality, he snoops around and wants the photo back. He finds some manga, but Neko informs him that the tea is ready. Seeing he holds the manga, she explains she saw it at his place and decided to read it herself. Masamune then asks if she has taken a photo, to which she responds with a yes. He looked so cute there, and she couldn't resist not taking it. Masamune states he is fat, but Neko doesn't mind and doesn't think that is bad. She then gets close and kisses him. Masamune recalls his past. He explains that he was bullied and that kids didn't like him and only pretended to be his friends for money. While she doesn't like them, she also doesn't like him. He tells her he won't continue their relationship as she isn't serious. He takes his photo and leaves. Before he leaves, Neko asks if he chooses Aki. Masamune then states it's his revenge. Neko remains in her bed, feeling heartbroken and crying. The next day, the group meets up at the swimming pool. Masamune wondered if he shouldn't have come as it would have felt weird meeting Neko, but Neko had told Tai that she wouldn't be coming as she didn't feel well, and Masamune guessed it was due to him. They all have fun at the pool, but Masamune feels troubled and distanced. When they leave the pool, Shido questions Masamune about what he did to Neko, as she is missing and hasn't taken her seizure medicine. Masamune wonders if Neko is sick, and Shido is surprised he didn't even realize it, considering how much medication she takes. Masamune wonders why she would deceive them but guesses it's because she didn't want them to think she was weak. Shido asks him again what he did since she knows he visited her in her apartment yesterday. Masamune then explains that he declined her feelings and won't be dating her as he is choosing Aki. Aki suggests that they look for Neko and asks Shido to drive them near Neko's apartment so they can start looking around, but leaves Masamune out as he already knows where Neko lies. They all go looking for her but are unable to find her. Masamune then decides to check the school, and to his surprise, Aki also considers that she may be there and goes to check it. Aki had already checked part of the school, guessed she wasn't there, and wondered where else Neko might be. Masamune is surprised that she cares that much about Neko, and Aki explains that it's not that she cares that much but feels sad for her after Masamune rejects her since it's painful to be rejected by the one you like. Masamune then wonders if she knows why she keeps rejecting and humiliating guys, and why she rejected and humiliated him when they were young. Masamune asks Aki if she remembers the pig's foot nickname, but a paper airplane hits Masamune on the head before Aki can answer. As they look up, they see more paper airplanes from the school's roof. Masamune then rushes towards it, recalling that Neko was reading a manga, where when the heroine got rejected by her loved one, she went on the roof and made paper airplanes from love letters. Reaching the roof, Neko tells him she felt he may come with her. Masamune tells her to give up as she doesn't have the strength to do what the heroine did in the manga. Neko then collapses, and Masamune tells Aki to call Shido. Shido informs the group at the hospital that Neko will be fine but wishes to speak with Aki. While Aki goes to speak with her, Masamune reassures himself that he has to reject her to fulfill his revenge plan. Aki then tells Masamune that Neko wishes to speak with him next. Neko tells Masamune that she wants them to speak of the past. Back at school, some girls congratulate Neko on her wonderful student council speech. One of the girls then invites Neko to her family villa to celebrate her birthday. However, as Neko agrees and the girls suggest they could play tennis, the other girls scold the girl for asking Neko to do something like this, considering how fragile Neko is. Neko's grandfather tells her she needs to have surgery overseas, otherwise her condition will only worsen. Neko agrees, but on the condition that she falls in love. Masamune then asks her why she chose him, and Neko states that she randomly selected him as a potential suitor, which surprises him. Neko states that she doesn't regret it, as she managed to experience both falling in love and being rejected. After recovers, she will go away and thank him for all the memories. This reveals that she liked Masamune and sometimes regrets that she didn't confess, but overall, she is glad she kept those feelings to herself since that way she managed to hang out with everyone. Since Masamune likes Aki, Tai wonders what Aki thinks of him. Masamune then comes, but he walks past Aki and the rest without saying anything. Shido informs Neko that her friends have left. She wonders if it's okay to let Masamune leave, but Neko states it's fine and that what he said is true, and he made her remember. Neko then looks at an old picture of her and Masamune at a wedding, where they have met for the first time. While heading home, Masamune thinks of what Neko said. It all ended when her lie was discovered. Masamune knew something was strange, so he couldn't fully trust Neko. As he is also lying to Aki, he wonders if the same thing will happen to him. He decides to stop thinking about it and continue with his plan. In the evening, Aki sits in her garden and thinks of what Neko has told her. Neko says she no longer needs to act tough since Neko has already been rejected. Neko states that Masamune is sincere and wonders why Aki denies his love. Thinking of love, Aki blushes and wonders if she should start liking Masamune. She recalls the young Masamune she knows and states that was love. Someone then shows up, making Aki wonder who it is. At home, Kinua complains that Masamune intends to run away. Chinatsu guesses that he will train, and Masamune confirms that he intends to retrain himself and continue his plan. He intends to burn all fat, gain new muscle, and become even hotter. Meanwhile, the person approaches Aki and tells her to guess who he is. Looking at him, Aki sees he resembles the old Masamune she knows. He then tells her that he is back. The new Masamune wants to see the head of the Adagaki family and gives a letter to the butler. The butler then reads that Taiden Adagaki promises the 15th generation Kanetsugu Gasso that his 17th generation head child will marry into the Adagaki family. Masamune then explains that he is the 17th generation Kanetsugu Gasso. At school, the baseball team ace asks Aki out, but she rejects him and writes on his shirt that his nipples are visible. Sonoka and Kikun are happy to see Aki rejecting another guy, but Aki states it's normal. Mari wonders if that is true, as lately she spends more time with Masamune than with them. They even spend the summer vacation together on a private beach. Aki explains that she wants to invite only Shuri, but Mari notes that Shuri is also a man. Kanetsugu is surprised to learn that Aki has a private beach and asks to invite him next time. The girls start to feel pity for him as Aki is about to reject him. However, Aki states she will consider it, which shocks the girls. As Aki and Kanetsugu leave, Mari states they may have gotten things wrong and Aki not to be just cruel princess, but actually like chubby guys. Masamune heads into class, being in a good mood and feeling more attractive. However, he is surprised to see Neko there as she was supposed to go overseas for an operation. Neko explains that she did go and had returned already. Since it's been a month since they last saw each other, she wonders how is his relationship with Aki progressing, but Masamune states he was just training. Neko sees Aki and Kanetsugu outside and tells Masamune that he may lose her if he doesn't take his chance. Masamune is surprised, but seeing that Kanetsugu is chubby, he doesn't feel he is any competition. Later, Masamune heads to Aki's classroom to give her a present and show how much he has grown. As he sees Kanetsugu with her, he wonders who he is. Kanetsugu then introduces himself and explains that he has just transferred. As his nickname is also Masamune, Kanetsugu tells Aki that it will be better not to use his nickname not to get confused with the actual Masamune. Masamune then wonders about their relationship, and Kanetsugu explains that he is her betrothed. Shocked, Masamune runs and takes Yoshino with him. Yoshino explained it was true, and she tried to call him, but he had no reception since Masamune was training in the mountains. Yoshino believes Aki will turn him down, but she is acting strange, like she is in love. Angry, Masamune starts observing Kanetsugu, discovering he is good at sports, smart, and gets along with girls and boys. Later, Yoshino tells Masamune that Aki had met Kanetsugu in the past. Masamune can't believe Aki is fine with him, given how she insulted him when he was fat, and only gets more angry. Meanwhile, Sonoka, Kikun, and Mari are sad they are losing Aki. Kanetsugu shows up, and they get angry at him for taking Aki from them, but he states they have the wrong idea and want to explain things. For the upcoming festival, Tai has an idea for their class project. She suggests that Kojiri will play Snow White, while Masamune the prince. The two don't like the idea, but as the class gets excited, Masamune feels they have lost. Later, Masamune sees Aki alone and pulls her, wanting to talk. She tells him that his zipper is opened. Masamune checks it but relaxes, seeing it closed. However, Aki used that time to sneak away from him. Earlier, Kanetsugu tells the girls that he is engaged to Aki, but has no intention of furthering their relationship. Aki is quite beautiful. However, he is not for her and won't even kiss her. The girls then feel that Aki is protected while she is with Kanetsugu, but will lose her purity if she is with Masamune, and decide to stop Masamune. Sonoka is the student council's vice president. She sees that both Class 2A and 2B had submitted a request to do Snow White at the festival. Another member suggested they approve 2B since they proposed it first, but Sonoka stated they would approve 2A. Class 2B is informed that their request is declined, but Tai can't accept it and heads to Class A to make them change their mind. However, Mary declines, stating that they decided to do Snow White with Aki playing Snow White and Kanetsugu playing the prince. Aki tells Tai that they should give up as Snow White, with just men is futile, but Tai finds it weirder with having a fat prince. Kanetsugu tells them they should calm down and tells Aki to consider how Tai feels because she was rejected. Aki then calms down and states that she can understand her. Masamune then suggested that both classes do the play and let the popular vote determine the winner. Since the popular project determines the best project, it will be easier for people to decide which is better. They all agree and decide to make it into a competition. Masamune proposes another competition to Kanetsugu, stating that whoever wins will get to dance with Aki at the post-festival party. Kanetsugu then agrees. Tai takes the director role for the upcoming Snow White play. She is harsh with Kojiro and isn't satisfied with his performance, which causes him to run away from the rehearsal, feeling that girls are quite scary. He ends up meeting Neko, who is quite positive and encourages him, making him note that she is always smiling and nice. Masamune is looking for Kojiro, but he encounters Kanetsugu. As sparks fly between them, Kanetsugu tells him that he gives chocolates to Aki, and that such small gestures can win someone's favor, unlike the wall slam he did after seeing it in a magazine. Masamune gets annoyed but ends up taking notes of this. Kikun states they can't have Masamune win, and Mary assures her not to worry as she will take care of things. While heading home, Kanetsugu states that he met Masamune today, but Aki doesn't want to discuss him. She sees some food stalls and heads to get some food. While she is buying food, Kanetsugu recalls that his family has become quite poor. One day he met the Adagaki family's secretary, Yusaki, who confused him for the young Masamune that Aki used to play with. As he was tasked with improving the family's finances, he decided to take this chance. He doesn't think Masamune Makaba would be a problem, unlike the real Masamune that Aki used to know. At home, Masamune trains but sneezes. His sister Chinatsu calls their mother Kinue, telling her that Masamune got a cold. Kinue then rushes in crying and wraps Masamune in blankets, hoping he doesn't die. The school festival starts, and students are excited about the double Snow White play, which will face Kojiro versus the cruel princess. Masamune doesn't feel well enough to prove to his family that he is healthy. They went undressed on the roof, but may have caught a cold. He wants to go and rest until the play, but Neko grabs him and wants them to check everything at the festival. Neko, however, takes him to the nurse's office and explains that since she has been sick all the time, she can easily tell that someone has a fever simply by touching him. He tells him to lie on the bed and rest, but he doesn't mind if he misses the play since he will dance with Aki if he wins. However, if he does his best and loses, she won't mind dancing with him, and Masamune agrees. Neko then leaves to buy him something warm to drink while he rests. Kanetsugu looks for a place to change clothes for the play and goes into the classroom, but all the girls are already changing clothes there and chase him away. The person who plays the older woman who sells apples then points him to a place he can change, and he goes with her. Meanwhile, Kojiro wants to be more like Masamune so Neko can like him. He sees the buying Odin and tries to act more manly. He then accompanies her to the nurse's office, but they see that Masamune isn't there. Neko and Kojiro then ask Tai if she has seen Masamune and explain that he is gone. Masamune wakes up in a different room. Kikun then enters, explains that she kidnapped him while he was sleeping and intends to keep him until Aki and Kanetsugu finish their dance. Neko, Tai, and Kojiro check everywhere but cannot find Masamune. Kojiro, however, finds it strange that he encountered people from Class A. They should be starting their play soon, but they all seemed worried. Mari hears that Kanetsugu is gone, and they can't find it and can't believe they thought the same plan as hers. Yoshino tries to call Masamune and inform him that she locked Kanetsugu in the gym equipment storehouse, but Masamune isn't picking up. Kikun tells Masamune that he needs to stay away from Aki and that they are her guards. She explains that 1 year ago, no one stood a chance against her in the dojo except Tawarada Masaru, who would always resort to cheating. After winning again, he went to confess to Aki, but she rejected and insulted him, which impressed Kikun as she defeated him without even touching him. Masamune then wonders if she now picked the cheating strategy from him, since if she wanted to with fair and square, she wouldn't try to get a default win like this. Kikun realizes it and starts to get conflicted on what to do, but ends up untying Masamune. At that moment, Mary calls Kikun and asks her to give him Masamune. Mari introduces herself and suggests that they end up in a draw, and if they release their hostage, they will release him too. Masamune has no idea what she is talking about but quickly realizes that Yoshino must have kidnapped Kanetsugu. He then decides to sit down and do nothing, stating that their play is after Class A, so he can sit around and wait for his classmates to find him. Aki decides to perform without Kanetsugu. Mari texts Kikun to leave Masamune and go search for Kanetsugu. Kikun then figures that the other class has done the same and Masamune has tricked her. Masamune tries to escape from the window, but seeing the third floor, he just hangs. Angry, Kikun rushes after him and jumps and falls into the fountain. Tai and Kojiro end up seeing him and helping out Masamune. Tai wants to complain, but Masamune states it's fine and explains that Class A must withdraw as they miss Kanetsugu. However, Kojiro states that they have already started their play. Tai then wonders if they plan to play it out without a prince. Masamune then starts running toward the play, wondering what Aki is thinking. Masamune sees Aki's Snow White. He is impressed by the props and how good everyone is and doesn't think they can compare to them. He asks Mari if they have found Kanetsugu, but Mari explains they didn't but decided to continue because Aki wanted to. Earlier, Aki speaks to the cast and explains that Kanetsugu is gone. However, instead of canceling it, she explained that everyone had worked hard and would come out and play it and hope that in the meantime, they would find Kanetsugu. Masamune decides that they must release Kanetsugu. However, he needs to find Yoshino first. He then sees her being part of the scene cast and wonders how to get to her. Masamune thinks of a way to make the play be able to finish and asks Neko for a favor. After Neko leaves, Masamune heads behind the scene and tells Mari to listen to him if they want to finish the play. The play reaches the point where Snow White is considered dead and placed in a coffin. Aki guesses that they couldn't find Kanetsu and will just have to end it there. She recalls how she waited for the young Masamune and notes that she can't rely on the prince. At that moment, Masamune comes out on the scene playing the prince. Masamune proposed to Mari to play the prince and finish the scene earlier. He explains that their acting and everything was so good, so he didn't want it to go to waste. While performing, Masamune trips and falls, however he acts tired from the journey. Mari wonders if he is trying to ruin the play, but Kikun explains that he has a fever. Masamune manages to stand up, and with a push from Yoshino, he barely walks and heads to kiss Aki to finish the scene. Aki and the rest expect a pretend kiss, but Masamune lifts Aki's head and kisses her. Surprised, Aki ends up punching him. Yoshino then celebrates that Snow White is alive, and the play ends. As students applaud it, Kanetsugu manages to return at that moment. Meeting at a karaoke, Kaneko explains that Class A is the winner by the popular voice. Class B takes last place as they had to cancel. Best hero and best heroine go to Masamune and Aki. Tai states it's unfair as Class A only managed to finish their play thanks to Masamune, but after that, Masamune had to go straight to the nurse's office and they had to cancel. Kanetsugu suggested that he play the prince for Class B, but Tai declined, noting that pairings are important and not anyone can be good enough for Kojiro. Aki wonders why there are so many people here, and the two groups explain that they wanted to have an after party, but all the rooms were full, and they only had this party room. Kaneko states they can settle things here with a song. Tai agrees and states that the loser will also pay the bill. Tai goes first and sings the song Selfish Mirror Heart, getting 82 points. Aki goes next, singing the Snowflower song and getting 89 points. After a while, it's Neko's turn, and she sings Goodbye, the one I love most. Kaneko feels that Masamune isn't used to karaoke and uses it to show how pathetic he is, leading to Aki turning him down. Yoshino sings Walk Over Amage Pass. Masamune goes to the bathroom, and Kaneko and Kikun wait for him as he exists. They tell him he can't escape and guess he must be quite a good singer. Aki shows up and scolds them, telling them they shouldn't pressure people. Returning to the room, Aki hears Smile de Hadapure, recognizing the opening song from Hadapure. Neko explains that she put the song on while they waited for Masamune and asks Aki if she wants to sing with her since it's a duet song. Aki agrees and then sings the song. Masamune's turn and he chooses Elemental World and starts singing. The receptionist receives a call from Yoshino asking for help. As Masamune finishes the song, everyone collapses with the screen, stating it cannot score his performance. Masamune sees that the screen says he burned 15 calories and gets happy, as that is like 50 push-ups. Later, Masamune notes that he didn't know you can lose so many calories with singing and wonders if he should add it to his training regime. Masamune wonders why everyone left except Aki. Aki explains that Yoshino went shopping and Masamune should leave too. Masamune, however, intends to wait until Yoshino returns, noting it's dangerous for a girl to be alone at this hour and she doesn't need to thank him. Aki asks him what she needs to do as thanks, and Masamune suggests that she kiss him. He wonders if he asked too much, but Aki ends up agreeing. She asks him to close his eyes, and as she is about to kiss him, Yoshino returns and Aki sticks some food in his mouth, noting that he should be glad for her giving him some of her food. As Aki leaves, Yoshino tells Masamune that he could have had his revenge soon if he just went and didn't wait. Masamune gets frustrated, however he takes a class trip notice to Paris and states he will use that chance to make Aki fall for him. As Masamune walks by himself, he gathers attention from the girls around him. As usual, he feeds his ego on those girls' compliments. He was walking so confidently and compliments how well he looked that day with everything on point. As he walked into his house's front door, he recalled the reps he had done on his workout that day when a little girl ran up and was about to hug him. However, he thought it was his mom, so he threw her out and told her to act like her age. He didn't know that it wasn't his mom, but it was Haruka, Anase's daughter. Surprisingly, they look very identical to his mom because of their genes. Masamune recalled hearing Haruka at one meeting when Haruka was still a baby. Chinatsu just got home and thought that Masamune made their mother cry again. Thankfully, Aunt Issei interfered and complimented their violent sibling relationship, considering it close siblings. As the siblings and Haruka talked, Masamune couldn't help but think they all looked so lowly. But is Masamune the lowly in their family? Not really. Seeing Kinue, their mom, and Haruka look surprisingly the same, Chinatsu got an idea and got clothes for them to cosplay. They dressed up as nurses, students, kimono, and even pigs. Chinatsu was in heaven, seeing the cuteness overload before her eyes. However, Issei went away, saying she couldn't bear it any longer. Masamune thought she would call the police because of Chinatsu's indecency. But Issei was only getting her pair of pay onesies. Now there are 3 little pigs in the room. Masamune was terrified at this sight, not wanting to be accused as a loli, so the 3 little pigs teased him. But he could only get on his knees, begging him not to do such a thing to him. Meanwhile, Aki treated her friends on another trip to Tsunuba Island once more. Yusaki, the receptionist, welcomed the girls to their villa. She wondered why the great Masamune wasn't with them, so they told her that Aki and him had broken up. Aki cheated on Masamune when he bumped into a pole because he was busy feeling himself and got a concussion. However, Yusaki was even more happy to take her off her hands, as well as Yoshino and Neko. Meanwhile, Tai came running, holding a bikini for Kajuro, who is androgynous. Later that day, the girls were changing their bikinis. Aki entered the room, flexing her padded melons. Yoshino returned the pads to her, but their eyes didn't mind the padding. Their eyes landed on her milkers. She had grown up well. The girls were having a great time on the beach, with Yusaki ended up drunk. But despite those good times, Aki was still lonely, so she called her egoistic boyfriend, who also knew she was lonely. After a day on the island, they went home, and Yoshino gave her sister some gifts from the island. But her sister, Shigino, has other plans, especially since it's Yoshino's day off. Despite not agreeing to it, Shigino forces Yoshino to do a makeover for her to enjoy herself around the city. Having to bring a small shoulder bag and wear heeled shoes is new to her since she's used to wearing flats to rush whenever Aki needs her. She was treated well and served by a waiter in a restaurant like the tables had turned. The surroundings around her are almost black and white, and the only colors there are the stuff she finds fun, like the balloons being held by a human-sized teddy bear. She realizes she can finally be selfish since she never got what she wanted. The teddy bear gave her a balloon, which she took with a smile. However, 2 little kids accidentally bumped Yoshino, staining her skirt with their ice cream. The little boy felt bad, while the older girl comforted him. This sight reminded him of Masamune and Aki when they were younger, so to cheer up the kid, she gave the balloon to him. So she realized she didn't need to fit in the crowds with bizarre outfits, so she went home earlier than what her sister expected. Yoshino said she had a little fun and told her sister she wanted to become prettier and be a better woman so men would fall for her and dump him. Shigeno didn't expect to see such a side of Yoshino, but she was astonished to see her smile wittily. The bell rang and Yoshino went to Aki and did her duties, realizing that serving and being with Aki made her happy. Masamune wakes up excited to head to France for his school trip, where he plans on finishing his plan and exacting his revenge. Chinatsu enters his room, sees that he is still full of himself, and tells him to control himself and not embarrass all of Japan while he is in France. Kinue also enters his room, explaining that she prepared a big breakfast, but hearing all about it, Masamune doesn't want to eat such a high-calorie breakfast. Muriel receives a message from her brother about the art piece she sent him, and he tells her that it's a masterpiece, but she should learn more about Japanese high school students. She finds that hard to do as Japan is quite far away. Masamune and his class are touring around Paris and seeing couples kissing. Masamune feels this is the perfect place to make Aki fall for him and dump her. Aki then tells Masamune that she wants to talk with him during the trip's free periods. Masamune wonders what she means but ends up bumping into Muriel. Masamune tries apologizing, and upon realizing he is Japanese, Muriel gets quite happy, stating she has been looking for him. She introduces herself to Masamune and Aki, and explains that she learned Japanese from anime and manga and hopes to one day be able to draw manga like that. She then shows them her manga, a rom-com about Sumire who lives in Tokyo. Masamune and Aki find the manga strange, especially since the main characters are called Sumire and Chikuwa. Muriel shares that her brother told her that she needs to learn more about Japanese high school students, and seeing Masamune, she thought he was her Chikuwa and wishes to use him as a model for her manga. Masamune denies it, explaining that they are on a trip and he will spend the little free time he has with Aki. Muriel is disappointed but accepts his reasons. Masamune and Aki join the rest of the class at the art museum. Feeling quite tired, the two feel they are safe now and that they almost died. The two explain that after leaving Muriel, they bumped into some men in black suits. The men then take them to a more private place in a tunnel. Masamune and Aki get scared as they can't speak French. One of the men then brings out a phone on which Frank Besson introduces himself to the 3D Chikuwa. Frank explains that he is the older brother of Muriel and is right now in Tokyo. Frank questions him why he rejected Muriel, as making her cry is the worst sin he can commit while disappointing her is the second worst sin. Frank tells Masamune that if he wants to stay with Aki, the two can teach Muriel the essence of romcom. Masamune explains to Yoshino that when he has free time, he needs to spend it with Aki and Muriel. He apologizes to Yoshino as he feels everything is ruined despite her setting everything up for him. However, Yoshino wonders what she did. Masamune then explains that he thought Aki only invited him to talk with him because of Yoshino, but Yoshino denies being involved. Yoshino is happy that Aki is proactive and tells Masamune she will help him so that no one gets in his way. In the hotel room, Kanetsugu plans to proceed with his fishing plan and gain money to preserve the Gasu name and status by using Aki's love. The next day, Masamune and Aki felt tired as they couldn't sleep well. The two then head out to meet with Muriel. They go to the park, where Masamune looks at Muriel's manga again. He points out that the male main character asked the female main character out 3 panels ago, and they are now in love and dating. As he had read a lot of rom-com manga, he states that once the two characters fall for each other, 80% of the story is done. So instead, she needs to tease their romance as much as she can. Muriel doesn't understand it, as if they like each other, they should tell each other about it. She demonstrates it, grabbing Masamune's head and stating they can kiss. Right before she kisses Masamune, Aki jumps between them and separates them, stating that, unlike the French, the Japanese can't easily tell someone their feelings. Masamune adds that things from the past can also prevent them from confessing. Muriel wonders if they are talking about themselves. Masamune and Aki are caught off guard and act weird, denying it. Aki tells Muriel that she needs to learn the Japanese form of love, and she and Masamune will show her how things are done as characters in a rom-com. However, after that, Aki blushes, and the two with Masamune wonder what they should show her. Kojiro, Neko, and Tai are enjoying some dessert. Neko points out that Masamune would likely enjoy the sweetness of the dessert. Tai asks her if she still likes Masamune, but Neko states it would be pathetic after he rejected her. However, she sometimes thinks of what it could have been if they met differently, and if there wasn't a lie. Kojiro can't gather enough courage to confess and only states that Neko is quite profound. Kojiro sees Kanetsugu and Yoshino outside the window but feels he is seeing things. Yoshino is taking Kanetsugu somewhere, trying to keep him busy until Aki and Masamune's free time ends, stating that Aki wants to tell Kanetsugu something personally. Since Yoshino keeps apologizing, Kanetsugu feels that she is hiding something. Yoshino then states he lied about Aki, and that she just wanted to spend as much time as she could with Kanetsugu. However, Kanetsugu states he won't fall for it and shows a picture of Yoshino and Masamune when she agrees to help out Masamune. Kanetsugu has evidence of Yoshino meeting with Masamune and wonders what will they say if they hear about this. Yoshino is fine if he snitches on her, but Kanetsugu states that by they he means her parents. Kanetsugu states that Yoshino is like him. Aki is pure, and he believes he won't have a problem winning her over, but if families get involved, things will be different. Yoshino can't escape her status. If she could, he wouldn't have come to Paris. Yoshino tells Kanetsugu that she is only doing this because she finds him unworthy of Aki, who acts like someone precious to Aki and lies. However, at that moment she stops herself and decides to not say it. Kanetsugu receives a message from Yoshino's parents and tells her that they are wondering why she is skipping work. He tells her it would be better if she lay low for a while so that her parents don't relieve her of her attendant duties. As Masamune and Aki had stated to show how characters act in a rom-com, Masamune gathers courage and decides to make this part of his plan. He grabs Aki's hand and asks her to walk with him. While they do so, Muriel starts narrating that they should also do this in Akiba and until the end of Mansei Bridge. Aki gets annoyed and tells her to not interrupt them and only to run her imagination once she gets the basics. As they have released hands, Masamune notices that his hand is quite sweaty, guessing he was quite nervous, but sees that his other hand isn't wet at all. He then sees that Aki's hand is sweaty too, and she secretly uses a handkerchief to wipe it. Masamune and Aki then proceed walking, but as Aki's stomach growls, she stops embarrassed. Masamune then suggests they go and eat something. Masamune heads to buy some sandwiches while Aki waits at a bench. As he returns, he wonders if they should eat the sandwiches normally or if they should do something rom-com-like since Muriel is watching. Thinking about what they can do, Masamune suggests feeding each other, which shocks and embarrasses Aki, but she agrees. They try to do it, but think before Masamune bites the sandwich. Both feel they can't do it and throw away the sandwich. Aki starts eating alone her sandwich. A dog shows up and Aki pets it, but tells it that she can't give him her food. A couple then comes and apologizes for their dog and takes it away. Masamune notes that Aki loved dogs, especially the big ones. Aki explains that they no longer have dogs as she can't bring herself to get a new one after she loses her last one. Aki then decides to tell him how she ended up like this and why she can't accept Masamune's feelings. When Aki was young, Yoshino got chickenpox and she couldn't play with her. Her parents were also arguing, so Aki went to play with her dogs, Scene and Lancelot. Masamune is being bullied by some kids in front of Aki's house, and she uses her dogs to chase away the bullies, and that's how she and Masamune get to know each other. A few days later, Masamune gives Aki some expensive chocolate as thanks. Aki denies it, stating that she is sick of her parents fighting over how much her presents cost or stating how rare they are when they want to win her favor. Masamune starts crying, feeling bad for her and noting how awful he would feel if his parents were not getting along. Aki feels that he is kind but weak and decides to train him so that he doesn't get bullied anymore. She then calls Lancelot, who starts chasing Masamune. Eventually, Masamune started to fear less her dogs and even touched them. One day, Masamune decides to stand up to his bullies. He calls them to the park, where he hides on a tree and tells them that he will kill himself since he is sick of being bullied and has left a note on how badly they threatened him. The bullies try to stop him from killing himself, but end up in a pitfall Masamune and Aki had dug up. Aki then gives Masamune a fire extinguisher, telling him to finish them off, and Masamune uses it, stating he no longer fears them. Walking home, Masamune thanks her, stating he couldn't have done it without her. Aki reveals that she wants at least he to be happy, as she won't be since her parents are separating. Masamune then hugs her, stating he will be by her side to cheer her up. Masamune asks Aki what happened after that, but Aki states that the boy never showed up again, guessing that he only wanted someone to save him from the bullies. Aki had developed feelings for him and had started overeating. However, she knows that Masamune didn't feel bad for disappearing. Aki states that Kanetsugu's old nickname is Masamune, and he had told her himself that. Masamune is surprised to learn that Aki thinks that Kanetsugu is him, but he also remembers differently all that she said. Aki doesn't want to feel sad like that again, which is why she can't accept Masamune's feelings. Masamune wonders what she is talking about, as she was the one who chased him away, calling him Pig's Foot. Masamune recalls how he was gathering flowers to cheer her up, but the bullies showed up. He runs and manages to reach Aki's house, but the bullies catch him and destroy the flowers he gathered. Masamune calls for Aki, and the bullies mock him for calling the boss girl to save him again. Masamune states it isn't like that, and that he promised to be by her side. Aki then shows up at the window, telling them to shut up, and that she will never fall in love with the pig's foot. The bullies are surprised at how brutal she is and laugh at Masamune. Masamune gets annoyed and asks Aki why she called him pig's foot. Aki wonders what he means, but Masamune tells her to stop acting like a victim and that she deserves everything she has. Muriel comes out, not wanting them to fight. Aki stands up and leaves, stating she believes that he would at least hear her out. Kanetsugu sees Aki walking alone and runs to her wondering what happened, but Aki runs away from him. Muriel draws out a new sketch at the park. Her brother calls, wondering where are the Japanese kids, but she explains that ran into trouble and that plan has been cancelled. Frank states he will talk with them again, but Muriel tells him not to and that she is drawing a new manga with a happy ending. Masamune returns to the hotel and tells Kojiro that he got in a fight with Aki. As a punishment, Yoshino's parents state she won't be allowed to go out. Aki then finds Yoshino. She cries as she hugs her and states that she is looking for her. Yoshino's older sister tells her that their father was quite angry and she is lucky to get such little punishment. At school, Yoshino buys some bread for Aki, who then calls her and tells her to buy some rice balls too. While returning from the shop, he hears some noise and sees Masamune training. Seeing the amount of food, Masamune realizes that Aki still eats a lot and Yoshino confirms that lately she has been eating more again. Masamune is annoyed at how much Aki twisted things, but Yoshino tries to excuse her, saying that Aki had a lot of things going on back then and she may be confused. Yoshino then heads back to Aki, but tells Masamune that she will try to smooth things between them, but doesn't expect to be able to do much. That surprises Masamune, as that isn't typical for Yoshino to say. Yoshino then runs on Kanetsugu, who has heard that Yoshino was scolded for her actions. Masamune imagines how he apologizes and Aki forgives him, but doesn't feel there is a way out of this. Neko wonders if he is alright, and if he has time after school because there is somewhere she wants to go with him. Masamune agrees, and Neko takes him to the hospital with her. After her exam is over, Masamune wonders if she is okay, and Neko confirms. He is surprised that she asked him to come, but Neko explains that Shido usually comes with her, but she is gone today. After that, Neko wants them to go for a walk. Masamune explains what happened in Paris, and Neko wonders if he is still planning his revenge. Since he still plans to dump Aki, Neko hugs him from behind, stating she is trying to be courageous. He is choosing Aki, but not for love, so if Neko and Masamune fall in love, it won't be considered cheating on Aki. Masamune sees some of the men in suits from Paris, grabs Neko and runs away. Kanetsugu meets with Aki and apologizes that she had to wait for him. He suggests that they go to a family restaurant and eat some sweets. Aki agrees, but Yoshino apologizes and tells Aki that she has to go home. Aki finds Yoshino acting strange. Kanetsugu and Aki prepare to leave, but some Aki friends show up and stop them. Neko wonders from whom are they running, and Masamune explains it's Muriel's brother's men. The men surround them. Neko suggests that she throws up some blood to cause a diversion, but Masamune reminds her that she is now healthy and can't do it. Frank Besson then shows up and tells Masamune that he didn't take good care of his sister. Since in the middle of it, he ran back to Japan. Frank will gladly kill Masamune, but he shows him Muriel's manuscript. She drew it for days after they left Paris. Masamune must have had some sort of inspiration for her, which is why Frank will let him go this time. Before leaving, Frank states that he also likes happy endings because the reality is bad. Neko wishes to see the manuscript too. The story is about Masamune and Aki, retelling their past. However, Aki goes to live with her father, and they agree to meet up again in the future. Years later, the two meet again and immediately recognize each other. Masamune wonders why things didn't go the same for them, and instead, they are hating each other. Neko finds a letter with the manuscript. Masamune then reads that Muriel got inspired to create a story about them, but since she didn't know the ending, she made her original one. She wants to become Masamune's walls since the walls have eyes and ears, and that way she can learn more about Masamune. Masamune then quickly rechecks the manuscript. He states that their story started the same way, but didn't get a happy ending. However, if he looks at it from a different perspective, it may be happening. Chinatsu is going home. She looks up and sees someone in her room. She rushes in and attacks Masamune, blaming him that he again entered her room again and stealing her garments and socks. Masamune has no idea what she is talking about, but Chinatsu states that just now she saw him in her room. Kinua then comes from upstairs and wonders what they are arguing. Chinatsu didn't know she was there, and Kinua explained that she was in their rooms taking their laundry. Realizing she is wrong, Chinatsu then stupid and offers Masamune some ice cream. Masamune then states that people's minds aren't reliable and recalls Yoshino's words from earlier that Aki may be confused. Masamune then decides to go out. Aki's friends join them at the restaurant. They see pictures of Aki in Paris, but note that they are all group pictures and wish to see some of her private time. Kanetsugu explains that Aki spends her time with Masamune, which surprises the girls. Kanetsugu recalls that his sister Sumire had collapsed recently and is in the hospital right now, and he needs to find money fast. The girls are annoyed that Aki went to France for a date and start guessing if Masamune forced her. Aki then yells, telling them to stop talking about Masamune. Kanetsugu then says that if Aki is so annoyed by him, she should stop hanging with him. Aki goes to the bathroom. The girls are annoyed at Kanetsugu since he promised to stay away, but Kanetsugu says he couldn't keep quiet after what he saw. He then shows a picture of Masamune and Yoshino, which shocks the girls. Kanetsugu states that Aki was hurt by being betrayed by someone she trusts, which is why he thought it would be a good idea to force her to notice someone else. Kanetsugu recalls how he was approached by Midori Yusaki, the secretary of the Adagaki family, who confused him for Masamune. Kanetsugu then picks on quickly and acts as Masamune. He finds an old letter, a written oath, between his grandfather and the previous head of the Adagaki family and states that he will marry into the Adagaki family to take their money. Aki then returns from the bathroom and apologizes for lashing out. Kanetsugu states it's fine and that she is free to talk with him when she wants and he will always wait for her. Masamune visits Yoshino. He explains that he got pissed when Aki stated she didn't remember the nickname she gave him. However, he now wonders if that is the truth. He wonders if the voice he heard was Aki's. Masamune believed that Aki was the only child in the house, but then recalls that Aki said there was one more child her age in the mansion, which couldn't leave her room due to chickenpox. She must have been watching them the whole time while they played in the garden. The only ones who know Masamune's nickname are he, the bullies, and the one who gave him that nickname. If Aki doesn't remember it, Masamune wonders why Yoshino called him Pig's Foot. Masamune wonders why Yoshino calls him Pig's Foot if Aki doesn't remember that nickname. He guesses that Aki may lie about it, but if she isn't, then Yoshino has been lying to him the whole time. Yoshino states that she would never do that, which makes Masamune relax, but Yoshino then reveals she is lying. Kanetsugu tells the girls that he wants to spend some alone time with Aki. The girl is against it, believing he wishes to use the chance to get closer using Aki's current depression. Kanetsugu states it's the opposite and wants to use the situation to separate Aki from Masamune. Kanetsugu considered spreading rumors about the image with Masamune and Yoshino, but decided to leave that as a last option, since worsening the relationship between Aki and Yoshino would only hurt Aki more. They should be working against Masamune, however, Yoshino may get in the way, so first they should focus on making sure that Yoshino won't get in their way. He asks the girls to help him keep away Masamune from Aki, and they agree. Kanetsugu is with Aki. She sees the Ferris wheel and Kanetsugu proposes that they go on it. Aki agrees, but first texts Yoshino that she is going to the Ferris wheel. Masamune asks Yoshino why she did it, and Yoshino reveals that she hated him. When Yoshino had chickenpox, her mother told her that she couldn't leave her room and to not approach Aki. Yoshino was fine with that as she felt free from Aki. A few days pass and Yoshino starts to get bored. She wonders if Aki is also bored and mad as she doesn't have a plaything anymore. She overhears Aki and Masamune outside and believes that Aki found a new plaything. She feels sorry for Masamune as Aki keeps on yelling at him and bullying him. However, she sees that Aki is happy and that shocks her, as Yoshino believes she is the only one who can keep up with Aki. Masamune looked much more happy than Yoshino, and Yoshino could tell that Aki really liked him. Soon, Yoshino is healed, but Aki gets a temperature and they wonder if she got chickenpox too. Aki hates that she has to stay in her room as there are too many things there that were presents from her parents. She hears them arguing and cries, stating that they will be divorcing, but then smiles, realizing she will be fine since she has Masamune, and falls asleep. Yoshino gets disappointed, feeling that Aki doesn't care for her after all she did for her. At that moment, she hears Masamune calling Aki as he is bullied. As she sees it, she dresses up as Aki puts on a wig, and then shows up at the window and insults Masamune. After that, Masamune stopped visiting Aki, which was good for Yoshino. However, that affected Aki, who cried every day and ended up hating boys. Yoshino then regretted what she did. She tried to find Masamune, but couldn't find him. She had given up believing that she couldn't do anything to make up for it, but one day she saw Masamune as the new transfer student and recognized him right away. Yoshino then decided to help him, as that may also make it up to Aki. She doesn't really want Masamune to dump Aki, and believes that he won't hate her when he sees who Aki truly is. Yoshino reveals that Aki is right now on a date with Kinetsu, and Aki still believes that he is the boy Masamune she played with. Because of her parents and other people, Yoshino can't do anything about it and asks Masamune to save Aki. Frustrated, Masamune runs, heading towards Aki. Masamune ends up meeting Aki's friends. He asks them where Aki and Kinetsugu are, but the girls refuse to tell him, calling him a cheater and revealing that they have a photo of him and Yoshino. Masamune has no intentions of clearing the misunderstandings and is fine with them insulting him, but asks them who is going to save Aki from Kinetsugu's lies. The girls are confused but do tell him. While he runs again, he wonders what he will tell Aki. Kinetsugu buys ice cream for him and Aki. Aki then smiles and Kinetsugu is happy that she is feeling better. Aki notes that he is good at calming down people and Kinetsugu guesses it's because he has a younger sister. Aki asks if she is still in the hospital and if she can do anything about it, but Kinetsugu doesn't want to ask, as he is already causing her enough trouble and won't be able to return the favor. Aki still wishes to help him and asks him to ask her anything. Kinetsugu prepares to ask her, but Masamune shows up and punches him, telling him to stop using his name. Masamune then turns towards Aki, stating that while it's a big misunderstanding, he can't let her ugly personality off the hook. Masamune then asks Aki to go out with him. Kinetsugu stands up and pushes Masamune, stating that he is only interested in Aki because she turned him down and his pride as a popular guy makes him want to mess with her. Masamune states that in the past he wasn't popular and was bullied. He approaches Aki and states that it changed when he met a little arrogant girl. Aki then realizes he is the real Masamune. Kinetsugu states he is lying and Masamune had hurt her so many times. But Kinetsugu's shirt is messed up and Aki sees that he has a cleavage. She asks him about it, but Kinetsugu acts like he got a call from the hospital and leaves. After Kinetsugu leaves, Masamune mocks Aki of how oblivious and blind she is, or that she is now into girls. Annoyed, Aki states that she is oblivious and has an ugly personality, but then why did Masamune ask her out? As Masamune panics, Aki then accepts his request to go on a date with him. Meanwhile, Kinetsugu goes to the hospital to see her little sister. Kinetsugu feels relieved that the secret is out, but as Masamune punches her quite hard, she wonders if she should make him take responsibility. Masamune is training in his room. Chinatsu calls him to come and eat, but he is too focused on what Aki has said and doesn't hear her. Later at school, a girl confesses that she loves him. Masamune notes that this ain't the first girl that confessed and turned her down. The girl realizes that the rumors must be true and that Aki has finally fallen in love with a guy. However, she is fine being Masamune's second girl. Masamune panics and gives her his unfinished water with vitamins and runs away. The girl feels puzzled but gets happy to have his leftovers. At the lockers, Masamune feels that recently a lot of intense girls are coming after him. Neko tells him that he and Aki had formed a super couple and now a lot of people are either crying themselves to sleep or are coming after him. Masamune tells her that this doesn't concern her, but Neko states she may be one of those who cries themselves to sleep. However, given the situation, it's unknown what may happen. At lunch, Aki sends Masamune a message to go buy her food. While fighting the crowd, Masamune tells the shop lady what he wants, but she tells him to yell louder like the other day. Masamune then sees that the shop lady is Kinetsugu and gets shocked. After the other students are gone, Kinetsugu reveals that she is broke and the school lets her work there. She worked on Plan F, as in fishing, acting like Masamune from years ago and trying to get financial support for the Adagaki family. Her plan failed and she had to sell her home, but managed to cover the expenses. She is glad that she no longer has to pretend about her social status and lie to people. Kinetsugu is surprised at how much Masamune has changed. She tells him that he needs to take responsibility for punching her and has to marry her. She figured that he is also quite rich and has a promising future, so maybe she should continue with her plan if Masamune starts to panic. But Kinetsugu laughs and tells him that she is joking. Masamune brings the lunch to Aki and sees that she is trying to take out a stove and carries it to the middle of the storeroom. Masamune complains that Aki didn't even say thank you for bringing her food and feeling forced. She gives him a croquette as thanks. Masamune states he has his own food, but Aki tells him that he needs to eat proper food and that the old Masamune was much more round. She invites him to some donuts after school, but Masamune declines. He grabs her face stating that her sentiment is more than enough. The two then blush. At that moment, Yoshino returns bringing kerosene for the stove, causing Masamune to panic and leave. Masamune realizes that since Aki didn't call him pig's foot, he doesn't hate her and Yoshino is regretting it all this time, so he can't hate her either. He later meets with Yoshino and wonders if there are any problems, but she states it's all fine as he didn't reveal what she did in the past. Masamune then states that he has a date with Aki, but cries stating it's quite hard to go out with someone and wonders what he should do. Yoshino reveals that Aki's birthday is on the 24th, on Christmas Eve, and she would be happy if he spent the day with her. Yoshino also reveals that she will stop meeting like this with Masamune. Masamune acts like he doesn't know and asks Aki when is her birthday. As she reveals it's December 24th, Masamune proposes that they spend it together and Aki agrees. At home, Masamune knows that he no longer can depend on Yoshino and needs to make the date plan himself. Having too many options, Masamune asks Chinatsu and she states that on Christmas Eve she would love to have a date in a castle where she cosplays as a princess and dances all night. Kanue overhears them and shares that she had a date with Masamune's father on Christmas Eve, but it was troublesome as they accidentally brought her the kids' lunch. Masamune feels he wasted his time and heads to his room. Chinatsu tries to tell him that they did a lottery in the shipping district today, but Masamune leaves without listening to the end of her story. In his room, Masamune decides to read some shoujo manga for ideas, but is unable to think of anything. The next day, Masamune asks Kojiro for some ideas. Kojiro then suggests a few restaurants with good food. Masamune continues to think on his own. Meanwhile, Aki spends her time trying to figure out what outfit to wear. On Christmas Eve, the two meet, and Masamune proposes that they first go see a movie. Aki is glad that this time ain't gonna be a zombie movie but didn't expect it to be a story about an old man and animals and gets moved to tears by the story. After the movie, Masamune takes her to a pancake place recommended by Kojiro. However, they see that the place had a fire and the cafe had burned down that morning. He takes her to a few other places, but since it's Christmas Eve, those places are full. Masamune refuses to give up, and thinking of where he can take her to eat, he suggests that they go to his place. Masamune assumes that Kanue and Shinatsu will welcome Aki well, just like they did with Neko and Yoshino, and there will be plenty of food. However, Masamune is surprised that there is no one home. He then sees a note from Chinatsu that tells him that she and Kanue went to a hot spring, which is their reward for winning the lottery. Frank is dining with Muriel. She gives him a Christmas present, which makes him really happy. Muriel then gives him a list with names and asks him to visit a doujinshi event at the end of the year and visit those people. Masamune and Aki realize that they are alone. Aki states that she will drink some tea unless Masamune has some other motives and plans this. Masamune then heads to make some tea but is unable to find it. Aki decides to help him and ends up finding a pancake mix. Since they were supposed to eat pancakes today, they decided to make some. They struggle a bit but manage to make some. As they eat, Masamune decides to feed Aki a bite, and she ends up eating it. However, she complains it lacks flavor and adds more toppings to his pancakes, stating it suits him. Aki stands up to get some ice cream, but Masamune grabs her hand and takes her to his room. Checking out his room, she sees a picture of the two when they were young and is moved that she still has it. Masamune explains that while he used to be fat, he wished to change, but wonders if he is worthless now. Aki backs off a bit, but trips on a dumbbell and falls while pulling Masamune over her. Masamune then feels some stomach pain, excuses himself, and goes to the bathroom. He then messages Aki that his stomach is hurting him and he can't move and tells her that he has a present in his coat, which she should take and leave for today. Masamune recalls that he starts to feel unwell and hives break out on his arm when he touches Aki. Aki goes back home, where Yoshino welcomes her. Seeing Aki, she asks her if her date wasn't fun. Aki denies it, but wonders if she has no appeal as a woman. Yoshino states she has plenty of appeal, but Aki rushes to her room. She checks the present from Masamune, which is 2 dogs on a chain, which reminds her of her dogs. Earlier when she took the present, she saw a notebook in which Masamune had written that he would get revenge on that woman, making Aki wonder what that meant. Neko Fujinomiya is celebrating New Year with the whole family. As they run out of sake, Neko decides to go get some. On her way, she encounters Yuriko and her son Shota. The two reminisce that they haven't seen each other since Yuriko's wedding, and that Neko around that time was quite young and round. Masamune goes to see a doctor about his hives, however, the doctor can't find a reason and mentions that even a bit of stress can cause hives, and tells him to come to visit him again after a week. A lot of students are going for their first shrine visit of the new year. Tai wanted to go too, but for the first 3 days of the new year, she spent with relatives and ended up being a babysitter for little kids. Kojiro also didn't go as he had spent his time watching TV. Tai then gets the idea that they can go together for their first shrine visit. Kojiro wonders what to say, but then sees Masamune outside the window and calls him. Aki is still thinking of the notebook she found in Masamune's house. Yoshino asks her if she has any plans and if she will be going out, but Aki states she doesn't. Since Masamune has not visited a shrine yet, Tai suggests that they all go together. Masamune agrees and Tai then wishes to call Aki and Yoshino, but Masamune, seeing his hives, states that they are busy. Tai then decides to check if Neko is free. Neko is looking at old pictures of her and Masamune. She recalls a wedding event where she and Masamune's family were invited. Kinua then sees Neko and calls Masamune to introduce them. As Neko is quite shy, Masamune takes out some food from his pockets and offers it to Neko, but his father scolds him for keeping food in his pockets. Neko then receives a message from Tai, inviting her to come with them and visit a shrine. Neko then joins the group near a shrine. She notices that Aki and Yoshino aren't there, but Masamune states they are busy. Tai then hopes she gets a great blessing for the year. After making their wish, they draw their fortunes and Masamune gets luck and great blessing. Neko and Kojiro get luck and a mid-blessing, but Tai gets luck and a future blessing. Kojiro sees Hanatsuki and wants them to play. Masamune and Neko end up on the same team and manage to beat Kojiro and Tai. The group then spends the day together, and in the evening while Masamune heads home, he notices that his hives are gone. The school starts again with Masamune ending up not seeing Aki since Christmas Eve. He walks past Yoshino, but the two don't speak or greet each other. Neko goes to her regular doctor's checkup. As she leaves, Masamune sees her, stops her, and explains that he is here to get some test results. Neko then invites them to drive him home, but first to come to her place and tell her more about his problem. At her place, Masamune states that he is fine, but seems like stress is causing some issues. He states that his stress should be less than when he was hiding his identity and plotting revenge, but there is something that he doesn't wish to reveal since it will affect Yoshino, and wonders if it's due to that. Neko also suggests it may be because he no longer has a lie to tell. He describes Masamune as having a burnout syndrome. His revenge was his reason and wish to live, but that would mean that having his revenge disappear suddenly is still a shock for him, despite the fact that he is going out with Aki, because he doesn't actually love her, although he may have used to love her in the past. Neko wonders if the past matters that much. She reveals that she and Masamune had met long ago before he even met Aki. Masamune's family was invited to Yuriko's wedding, where the two met. Masamune thinks about it, but can't remember it. She doesn't blame him, as she forgot it too. She wonders if he remembers when he said that she doesn't love him too. Neko explains that she was frustrated, but couldn't argue about it, since she was trying to start a game of love based on her meager memories. Even if her original intentions were dishonest, she can say for sure that the past doesn't matter and she had fallen in love with him. She recommends that he cast aside his pretenses and preconceptions. Neko gets close and is about to kiss him, but Shido shows up with a fire extinguisher threatening to extinguish Masamune for his actions. Neko tells her everything is fine and goes to get some coffee. Masamune sees that he again has hives. Later, Masamune gets a message from Aki, who hears he went to the hospital and wonders if he is alright. He thinks of Neko's words and yells in frustration. A girl then screams and falls. Masamune rushes to her, wondering if he is the cause that she fell, but ends up seeing Yoshino. Aki gets hungry and goes around looking for Yoshino to make her some food. She finds her sister, Narino, who explains that Yoshino went shopping. Aki doesn't recall if she asked her to buy something, but Narino explains that she sent her and also told her to buy something for herself, otherwise she won't buy herself anything since she is stuck in errand girl mode. Masamune sees that the girl who fell is Yoshino. Yoshino then stands up and tries running away, but steps badly and falls again. Masamune realizes that she strained her ankle and lifts her to take her home, but she punches him with a brass knuckle. Yoshino tries to act like she is fine, but struggles to get up and falls again. She agrees to be carried by Masamune, but asks him to be at least a piggyback ride. Kikun, Kaneko, and Mary have a meeting with Aki, but she is being late. They complain that 3 of the last 5 meetings were cancelled. Kaneko blames Masamune since this started to happen after rumors started of Aki and Masamune dating. Kikun and Kaneko still believe that Masamune is tricking Aki and plan to ask Aki why she is going out with him. Mari states that if Aki has feelings for him, she may see their worries as a nuisance. While they wonder what to do, Aki shows up and Mary drops the subject and greets Aki. While carrying Yoshino, Masamune feels her chest on his back, but can't complain about it as he feels she will kill him on the stop. Yoshino then stops him and tells him to go to the nearby park where she can rest. Masamune states it is not a problem for them to continue, but Yoshino complains that she is with a skirt, and people may see her undergarments. Meanwhile, Aki apologizes to the girls, explaining that she has been busy recently. The girls struggle with how to ask her about Masamune. Kaneko can't hold it anymore and directly asks if she is dating Masamune. Blushing, Aki admits it. The girls realize she has the embarrassed face of a girl in love, a face they have never seen from Aki before, but they also love that side of her. Yoshino asks Masamune why he chased away Aki on Christmas Eve. Masamune tries to act like he just wrapped the evening early to make himself more desirable, but Yoshino doesn't buy it. She explains that Aki is super depressed and asks him if he can promise to throw her in bed the next time he sees her. But Masamune can't promise that. Masamune then gets an idea. He touches Yoshino's hands and then hugs her. He sees that he doesn't get hives and states that he believes he had the most fun while devising his plan with her and shouldn't have gone out with Aki. Yoshino then headbutts him. On her way back, Aki meets Kanetsugu, who asks her if they can talk for a bit. Masamune wakes up but doesn't see Yoshino. He takes his phone and on the reflection of his screen, he sees that Yoshino wrote on his face that she will pretend he didn't say that. He agrees and regrets saying it. Kanetsugu apologizes to Aki, knowing that she can't fully forgive her. Aki had heard that Kanetsugu worked things out with her father and about her sister, and added that there is nothing to forgive as she isn't mad about it and all is in the past. Kanetsugu states that Aki is strong, but Aki doesn't believe it. She explains that Kanetsugu had something to protect and was ready to sacrifice everything. But she isn't like that as she didn't know she was hurting someone. She now knows, but can't do anything and isn't brave enough to accept that fact. Kanetsugu realizes she is talking about Masamune and states she is surprised that the two started dating. However, she tells her that she can't lie to her heart. Kanetsugu believed that maintaining the family's financial power and status was the way to protect her family, however, she was lying to herself. When Aki found out, it became clear to Kanetsugu that family financial power and status meant nothing, and the only thing that mattered was her little sister. Kanetsugu asks Aki if she can't accept her feelings as she can't end up like her. Aki goes back home. She sees Yoshino and wonders if she brought herself something nice, but Yoshino reveals that she twisted her ankle. Worried, Aki then applies some first aid and tells her to go to the hospital tomorrow. Yoshino feels like a traitorous witch. She recalls what happened today and Masamune's words but states she absolutely must not let that happen. As she cries, she wonders why he even said that. Going to class, Masamune sees that Kojiro is speaking with the girls and wonders what is going on. Tai then reveals that they are consulting with him about what are good chocolates for Valentine's Day. Tai asks Masamune if he has preferences as she plans on getting him some chocolate, but then realizes that he must be getting some from Aki and states she won't butt in. At home, Aki is trying different chocolates from different shops. Yoshino wonders if she is rehearsing for Valentine's Day, but blushing Aki denies it, stating she is just getting carbs. Yoshino suggests that she makes some homemade chocolate, which will make Masamune happy, and also proposes to teach her how to make it. With 2 weeks until Valentine's Day, all start preparing for it. A day before Valentine's Day, Chinatsu asks Masamune to try her homemade chocolate, which she intends to give to her friends. But Masamune refuses, as it will take him lots of training to burn the calories. Chinatsu wonders if he plans on refusing to eat any sweets they give him on Valentine's Day, noting he will be the worst if he does that. Aki finishes her sweets as well, but they have switched to cookies instead of chocolate. Aki wonders if Yoshino will be giving some to someone. Yoshino doesn't have anyone in mind and notes that some may not even want to get. Aki agrees and states that not everyone likes chocolate. On Valentine's Day, Tai gives the whole class some chocolate, which makes everyone happy. Kojiro approaches Neko and gives her some chocolate. Neko happily accepts, noting that it's her first time receiving chocolate from a man. Aki shows up and Neko guesses that she will be giving chocolate to Masamune since they are a couple, and Aki confirms it. Masamune receives chocolate from the girl he gave his empty bottle. He also already has 2 bags of chocolate and can't believe he got so many. Aki then texts him and tells him to come to the storage room. Aki sees that he has already lots of chocolate and states he probably doesn't need any more. But Masamune states he will gladly have them. He sees her burnt fingers and realizes it's from making the cookies. He then decides to eat them right away. He feels that he can't betray Aki and states he should throw away his revenge and diet. Masamune goes on a date with Aki, and they go to various places where the two enjoy some food. At home, Kinue and Chinatsu discuss Masamune, surprised that he went on a date with his girlfriend. Kinue is also surprised that he ate all the sweets she made the other day. As he has been eating more lately, the two guess it may be due to his girlfriend, and can't wait to meet her. Masamune and Aki at the next place, where Masamune wants to keep on eating together with Aki, but it's too much for him. At the end of their date, Masamune apologizes that he couldn't eat with her, but Aki is fine as she gets to eat what she wants. Masamune then suggests they go on another date and Aki agrees. At school, Neko approaches Yoshino and wonders if she feels lonely since Aki and Masamune are more often together. However, Yoshino is fine with it, since she wants Aki to be happy. Masamune and Aki are eating lunch together, and Masamune shares that he found another good burger place. He is eating more now, but is also exercising as he doesn't want to look like he looked before. Masamune finds Neko's notebook and gives it to her. She notices that he got a bit more round, and Masamune shares it's because she eats a lot with Aki. Neko then wonders about his hives, but Masamune states he is fine and won't die from hives. Later, Neko meets up with Aki. She tells her that she knows she has no right to ask, however, she asks her to break up with Masamune. Aki refuses. Neko explains that Masamune doesn't love her and his heart is elsewhere, however, he is tied down by his past feelings and is in pain right now. Aki explains that she knows and that she found his planner, where he had several plans on getting his revenge and making her fall for him. However, Aki couldn't let him go as he loved him. At first, she believed that Masamune was confident in his looks, which is why he didn't give up on her, but when she realized he was the old Masamune, it made her happy. As they are going out, she notices several things, which all make sense if he doesn't like her. Aki explains that Masamune was weird in the past too, and even if he dislikes her, she won't let him go. Aki feels that she and Neko are alike, as they both have one-way feelings towards Masamune. After Aki leaves, Neko hears some noise outside the room and sees that Kojiro has heard them talking. Aki apologizes for having Yoshino wait for her and suggests they go eat. Yoshino realizes that something happened, and Aki reveals that Neko told her that Masamune doesn't love her and she should break with him. Yoshino finds that cruel and wants to go and speak with Neko, but Aki stops her, stating there is truth in her words. Aki states that Masamune only got close to her because he hates her. Yoshino cries and states that she got it wrong and that she is at fault, while Aki and Masamune haven't done anything wrong. Yoshino then reveals that she feared that Masamune would take Aki from her, call him Pig's Foot, and chase him away. Eventually, he transferred to their school and wanted to get revenge. However, Yoshino didn't want that to happen and decided to pretend that she was helping him do it while trying to fix things between them. Yoshino believes that the feelings between Aki and Masamune are mutual. Aki also cries and tells Yoshino that she wants her to check something. Chinatsu sees the piled up snow and gets excited wanting to build a snowman. But Masamune has no desire since it's cold. Chinatsu then tricks him into doing it by stating that he is quite an old man. He ends up making a Daruma doll snowman. As he takes a picture of it, Chinatsu wonders if he is sending it to his girlfriend and asks him to invite her for dinner so they can meet her. Masamune doesn't want to, but as Chinatsu explains that she just wants to be friends with her, he agrees to do it soon. At school, the girls are excited about White Day next week as they excitedly wait for the boys to give them gifts for the chocolates they gave them on Valentine's Day. Kojiro recalls his conversation with Neko when she caught him the other day. He wonders why she told all that to Aki, and Neko explains that being hurt, pushing yourself, and lying to yourself isn't love, and she did it for Masamune. She is also fine being the villain. At lunch, Aki doesn't eat much, stating that she ate earlier. Masamune asks her if she saw the photo of the snowman he sent her, and Aki confirms and states that he looks quite close with his sister. Masamune then attempts to invite her for dinner but changes his mind. After school, Kojiro asks Neko if they can walk home together. On their way, Neko guesses that he may despise her for what she did, but Kojiro states he would never feel that about her and that he was just a bit worried about her. Neko explains that she doesn't regret what she said, but does feel some guilt. As Aki and Masamune haven't broken up, part of her is also relieved. Kojiro tells her that he finds her quite straightforward and kind. Yoshino has looked up what Aki wants and asks her how are things with Masamune. Aki explains it's all fine and she doesn't need to worry. Since she told her the truth, Aki no longer doubts Masamune and can face him with how she truly feels. After that, Aki calls Masamune and invites him on a date this weekend. Masamune states he also planned to invite her. She reminds him that White Day is coming up and Masamune panics as he hasn't planned anything for it. However, Aki tells him that he wants to plan the date and they go to where she plans. Masamune asks Chinatsu on what present he should get for Aki on White Day. Chinatsu suggests a ring or electric facial device, but he figures it's what Chinatsu wants and not what is good for any girl. Kinue suggests that since she made him homemade chocolate for Valentine's Day, he may also try and make her something. Masamune likes the idea and decides to make macarons. Kinue and Chinatsu try to convince him to do something else as macarons are hard to make. But Masamune insists on making macarons, however he fails a few times and decides to just buy them. He asks Kojiro about a place he can get the best ones and Kojiro explains he knows such a place. As they get there, Masamune is surprised that there are so many women and Kojiro guesses it's due to the limited edition White Day sweets as some couples do the gifts in reverse and women give a present on White Day. They see a stand which Kojiro explains is one with a limited edition and is only here during the week before White Day. Checking it, Masamune sees a sweet with a bunny and decides to buy it as it reminds him of Aki. Kojiro also ends up buying something and as Masamune asks, he explains that he intends to give it to Neko. Masamune and Aki meet for their date. Masamune wondered why they had to go to the next time to some regular drugstore. Aki then approaches one of the workers there and explains that they went to elementary school together and wonders if he remembers her. The boy, Suzuki, remembers her and Aki then asks if she remembers Masamune. As he can't recall it, she explains that he used to bully him and back then, he was known as Masamune Hayasa. Suzuki then remembers Masamune and states he changed a lot, and he barely recognizes him. Aki and Masamune then leave, but Suzuki stops Masamune and apologizes for what he has done before. Aki asks Masamune how he felt after meeting Suzuki. Masamune states he is surprisingly fine and doesn't even matter. Aki explains that she also knows where the others are and if Masamune wants to meet them too, but Masamune denies it, something that Aki expected as he had become stronger and should have more confidence in himself. Masamune starts crying and thanks Aki. Masamune then gives her a present for White Day and explains it's white chocolate. Looking at her smiling, Masamune feels the desire to touch her. As he is about to do it, she apologizes and states she can't take his present. She states it is okay for at least one person to pick up what he is trying to throw away and tell him goodbye. After Aki breaks up with Masamune, he stops going to school. His friends wonder if he is okay as he isn't even responding to their messages. They see Aki and ask her if Masamune is sick since he has been missing for 4 days, but Aki isn't aware of it and explains that they broke up. Yoshino is surprised and decides to go to Masamune's house after school, and Tai, Kojiro, and Neko also decide to go. At Masamune's place, no one answers. Kojiro is then worried about what they will do with all the puddings they brought, and hearing about pudding, Chinatsu quickly comes out excited. After they eat the puddings, Neko wonders if something has happened. Chinatsu then leads them to Masamune's room, where Kinua cries for Masamune to leave her. Chinatsu explains that Masamune went to their grandpa's place in Shinshu and took all his stuff. Masamune had left after his date with Aki, and his friends wondered if he had run away because she gave him a bad nickname. Chinatsu also explains that Masamune no longer listens to them, and they can't contact him, but if she learns something, she will tell them. After that, Yoshino blames Neko, stating it is her fault since she got into Aki's head, even though Masamune won't ever be with her. Neko slaps Yoshino and asks her if her actions aren't deceitful. She knows Masamune's feelings, and yet she ignores him and sends Aki after him, and just to protect herself, she lies about her feelings. Neko states that no one cares about Yoshino or Aki's past, and that Yoshino was a coward. She then cries and states that she has nothing. Aki shows up, tells them to stop fighting, and asks Tai to help Neko get home. Aki then wishes to speak with Yoshino alone. Masamune cleans some leaves at his grandfather's place and then burns them. He recalls that he used to come here when upset, although he now has no one to hate. His grandfather then shows up, finding out about the White Day gift and reminding Masamune that he can't bring snacks to this place. Masamune apologizes and throws the gift into the fire. Aki tells Yoshino they have never had a proper talk due to their family status. She thanked Yoshino since she had done so much for her. Aki explains that she relied so much on Yoshino that she threw her feelings. Even though she likes Masamune, Yoshino cries and states that she just wishes Aki to be happy. However, Aki states that she shouldn't worry about it. Yoshino explains that she did something horrible and tried to make up for it a bit, but she liked Masamune as she spent time with him. Aki then tells Yoshino she has one last request for her. Yoshino should go and tell Masamune how she feels. Crying, Yoshino accepts and leaves. Tai takes Neko to karaoke, explaining that the girl's way to heal a broken heart is overeating and karaoke. The states that Neko should also look at other boys like Kojiro. Even though she ships Masamune x Kojiro, she is fine if she gives Kojiro to Neko. Chinatsu gives Yoshino her grandfather's address, and Yoshino gets on the train. On her way, she thinks of Masamune. She tried to pretend that her feelings didn't exist, but was hurt when Aki and Masamune were together. When Masamune told her he had the most fun while devising his plan with her, she also had a lot of fun but couldn't tell him that. Masamune sees his young self training, wanting to get revenge on Aki. Masamune tells him that Aki isn't his enemy and that the enemy has already been defeated. He explains that he has no enemies and his young self shouldn't worry about it as they will be okay. His young self feels weird but leaves and continues to train. Moments later, Masamune sees Yoshino coming out of the woods, runs to him, and hugs him. Yoshino then kisses him in return. The spring comes. Masamune and Yoshino are now dating. After Yoshino goes on a date with Masamune, Aki is left alone. She gets hungry and decides to cook for herself as she should stop relying on Yoshino. As the new school year starts, the students gather to see in which class they are. Tai, Neko, Kojiro, Kanetsugu, and Yoshino all end up in Class E. However, Aki and Masamune end up in Class A. Aki is shocked and doesn't want to. However, Masamune doesn't mind it. During the first day at school, Masamune keeps talking casually to Aki, who feels annoyed as it reminds her of their dating time. Wanting to keep her distance from him, she eats lunch alone at her usual place. Masamune joins her, bringing some more food and wishing to apologize. However, Yoshino stops him and drags him away. She tells him it's not the time now and asks him to wait longer. Aki decided to change and start a new one. She couldn't get over Masamune the way she was, so she changed some things and cut her long hair. Yoshino is surprised and states that she got it wrong and just wanted to play a little trick on her. She then tells Aki to go to the classroom at school, where Masamune is waiting for her. As Aki leaves, Yoshino recalls the time she went to see Masamune. On her way, she realized that in that lonely place, a person couldn't just think of someone for 8 years without having feelings for them. At school, Aki sees a letter for her and figures it's the same thing she did to Masamune. She goes around and ends up seeing Masamune outside. She tells him to stay there as she will come to him, but since the windows were closed, he couldn't hear her and went to her location, and the two ended up switching places. The two then see each other again and head towards each other again. After they meet, Masamune tells her that he wants to apologize, but Aki states he doesn't need to apologize for dating Yoshino. Masamune then reveals that he isn't dating Yoshino. She had asked him, but he refused. Back then, Yoshino tells Masamune that she loves him. Masamune thanks her for coming and telling him she was always there for him. However, he needs to say the same thing to someone else. But this time, it will come from his heart. Since they are not dating, Aki wonders what he wants to apologize for. Masamune then explains that when he was fat, he thought Aki chased him away with really mean words, so he came to this school and wanted revenge. However, he realized he was wrong and didn't know what to do now, making her suffer. He wrote her a letter, which he still hadn't read but hoped she would find it tomorrow. Aki then opens the letter and sees that he asks her to be his girlfriend. He then again asks her. Aki thinks about it and agrees but wonders if it all will be fine and if he can kiss her. Masamune confirms, but gathering the courage takes him a few moments. However, Aki feels embarrassed as they kiss and slaps him while yelling. Later, at the 42nd School Cultural Festival, the post-festival party starts. Tai and Kojiro feel that they don't have much time left together as there isn't that much time left in school. Neko feels that Masamune likes Yoshino, but she explains that he thinks of her as his master and feels safe around her, so he doesn't get hives from her. The two agree that many things happened, but it all seems to have turned out for the best. At the last cultural festival, the winner of the Snow White competition was supposed to dance with Aki. However, as Masamune and Aki played on the same stage, everyone forgot about it. Now, Aki and Masamune prepare to dance. Aki states there was a chance that she would dance with Kanetsugu, but Masamune explains he would have stopped it, no matter what. Masamune then invites Aki for a dance. Aki says she can give him the perfect nickname if he wants to hear it, but Masamune says he will ask later.